Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Government Secrets. Sorry, we've just had some scheduling stuff, so we haven't been able to do it on a consistent level. But here we are in the Friday time slot. Thank you to everybody watching on CIA Tube. It's been a full year. February 1st, 2021, we were demonetized, so we're in our 13th month of no money from YouTube, and yet they're making money off of us. So if anyone at YouTube corporate is watching this, change it, make me start making money again. And think about finding a new job because you work for evil cunts. And of course, thank you everybody watching on Facebook. Not going to be on Facebook much longer. I'm going to be off of that and we're going to move to Twitch. And then of course, God bless all of you that are at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Let's bring on Lee Camp, host of Redacted Tonight. Creator of Rad Indie Media, Lee Camp.
Hello, Graham.
What's up, dude?
I was under the impression that we had an agreement that we would wait until the middle of the show to ramp up towards the expression evil cunts.
What was that?
You used evil cunts in the intro, and I thought that was more of a mid-show kind of expression.
Yeah, I wanted to just start us off hot. You know what I mean? I wanted to come
hot.
I wanted to come up swinging. This side light here that fills in this, it was giving me with battery, and it was being a pain in the ass. So I'm already not.
You're saying the side light is an evil cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And as are YouTube. I think they're in the same vein of evil cunts.
Have no fear. You will always be better lit than me, sitting under my, sad office lighting.
I just always figure you always had like a candelabra or something that you hung over your head.
That'd be so much better if it was just lightly flickering, like Phantom of the Opera or something.
Just some goth, and there's just playing in the background that only you can hear. That's how I envision your home.
Literally just a candle slowly melting onto a skull that's just sitting on the desk. No explanation of whose skull.
No. And you always say something as you pass it that no one can quite hear. That's some sort of
you don't know what it's in a tongue.
Yeah, in a tongue, some sort of incantation or whatever as you walk by. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. You'll just walk by and be like, and then, hey, Graham, you want something to drink? Sure.
It's the same thing the guy chanted when he ripped the heart out in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom.
Well, you guys went basically the same college, right? You studied the same course.
Yeah. It was a community college in Central Virginia. We were both there.
So you guys just took basic intro classes and then incantations and demonic possession.
Weirdly, that guy was strange even in college. All right, he would say that same incantation when he would scoop the tater tots, and everyone was like, "Dude, that's just too much."
You always have that. He'd just be cutting open an apple with that weird hook knife, what? Can't he just eat the apple regular style? What's this kid's problem?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that skull, knowing your family lineage, goes back to Ichabod Crane or whatever. You know what I mean? Since you have all, it's
Dude,
George.
You called it. I have a family lineage. This week in government secrets.
Oh,
unfortunately,
family.
Of the Lee Camp family. Unfortunately, it's not a secret, but it is. It is this week in history.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this episode going quick. We're going to have this Government Secrets episode 71, where Lee Camp reveals more weird shit about his family.
One day I'll actually have to do so. Well, I should first say that I decided to be lazy this week, although in kind of a cool way. And I'm going to do, depending on how much time we have, 2 or 3 stories on this week in government secrets.
Oh, all right.
This one is not really, and well, they're short, so we'll have plenty of time. But this one's not really a story. It's just, I just wanted to let you know, and I knew you'd enjoy it, that this week in government secrets, this week in history, in 1801, Supreme Court Justice John Marshall was sworn in. My ancestor, and we're actually, my family is closest related. The two people we're closest to are John Marshall, which we're actually like, you can get the Marshall family tree where it's got 100 names that are, you can see it all branching out, and we're on that. Like my father's family is on that tree, so it's like direct descendants. My older brother's name is Marshall. My father's middle name is Marshall. And so, yeah, we're directly related from him and from Walter Camp, the guy that created American football. The ones that are looser connections, but still descended from are, George Washington, Robert E. Lee, those fellas.
Wow. It's like every time we go into this, there's like more bewilderment that I'm faced with of just like, I think in 1801, my great grandparents were, I don't know, probably trying to escape the potato famine in Ireland or something like that.
So you can actually find on a family tree, you can trace it all the way back to a potato. It's right coming right out of the potato.
Just I am a descendant of a potato. That makes total sense. Absolutely. That's why the small pocket goes back to my original potato heritage. They would always have little pockets on the sides of their potatoes
for fingerling potatoes. Yes, exactly.
So now, at my understanding, you have more, because we're going to do a this week in government secrets rock block, right? That's what we got going on.
Yes, I figured I'll do one of those, and then we'll do yours, and then I think we should have time to come back and do one more this week in government secrets.
Okay, so one more, or me do mine. Me do horrible sentence, awful sentence.
Judging by the way this English is going so far in this episode, it's going to be a fun one. This is going to be a wild and woolly one.
Me do mine? Me mine?
Me do mine. That was, this week I'm hosting with Yoda.
A government secret segment you will read.
Government secrets in this week.
CIA operation again.
Yeah, no. I'll do one, and then we'll get to your story.
Okay, so Lee do Lee, and then me do mine.
Lee do Lee, then me do mine, which was the initial name of the podcast. We changed it early. If you go back and listen to episode 1 and 2, it was called Lee do Lee and me do mine.
But they were all put together. It was just two words. Lee do Lee and me do mine were just each two words.
Yeah. So this is February 4th, 1899. So today, 1899, was the end of the Philippine-American War. An armed conflict between the First Philippine Republic and the United States that lasted from February 1899 to July 2nd, 1902. Oh, sorry. So the beginning of the Philippine War.
Right on.
Yeah. And I know this will shock you, but the Filipino nationalists viewed the conflict. They viewed the conflict as the Philippine Revolution. Many of them called it, or as a continuation of the Philippine Revolution against Spain. The U.S., though, regarded it as an insurrection. When we go to a place, decide we own them, and then they fight back, that is an insurrection. That is not us trying to enslave people and killing those who fight back.
Well, again, it sounds like the Philippines have the same audacity as like the Iraqis have of putting a country over American oil. Like the Filipinos just had the audacity of putting their country on an island chain that was America.
Yeah, and various resources there, whatever. Sure. Fruits and veggies, whatever things we felt like getting.
Military strategic point geographically. Yeah, that's what they shouldn't have set up their own free country in the way of our empire. So that's And
great. So the Philippines was given to the U.S. in the Treaty of Paris, under which the United States it was the end of the Spanish-American War.
Mhm.
So at the end of the Spanish-American War, the former captors of the Philippines handed them to the new captors of the Philippines, and we were like, why are they being surly? Why are they... Spain, can you please talk to them and tell them they're ours now? Because they don't seem to get the Treaty of Paris. Like, they don't seem to understand what happened there.
I know the audacity of people wanting their own freedom the way America has. Isn't this one of those Smedley wars that Smedley Butler participated in when he gave that speech of like, I helped the banana boys down in Panama? And is that like...
Yeah, I can't remember. It very well may have been I can't remember whether he said Philippines or not. But yeah, he wrote a whole book about war as a racket. And I haven't read the book, but everyone should definitely check out his speeches.
Oh, the speeches, I've played them on the show numerous times. It's just like, I helped Standard Oil, the Standard Oil fellas, take away. And like, it's so great. It just sounds like William S. Burroughs reading one of his poems, only talking about American empire.
So did he give the whole speech with a cigar in his mouth? Read by Smedley Butler with a cigar in his mouth. Read by me. Go ahead.
I don't know. I was going to call back Lee do Lee, me do me.
Oh.
Me do mine.
Read by me, motherfuckers, with a cigar in my mouth.
With a fixed bayonet at your throat, I'm reading you a bedtime story. Now I don't know. I don't know who I'm turning into some sort of...
I'd love to hear that audiobook, and it's just him. But I picture him not just being, considering he's like the most awarded Marine ever, I picture him just not being repentant at all. Just like, I made the fucking Africa safe for Standard Oil, and I'd do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, just...
I made it safe for the banana boys down in Peru.
I stamped out a lot of freedom, and I love it. My boots are shiny with the tears of quelled insurrections.
Of course, we're kidding. Smedley Butler
is great.
Did not celebrate what he had done, and is one of the few in our higher ups in our military to have like devoted himself after he got out to revealing the truth about American empire. But so let's see. Fighting erupted between forces of the U.S. and the Philippine Republic in February 4th, 1899, in what became known as the 1899 Battle of Manila. On June 2nd, 1899, the First Philippine Republic officially declared war against the United States. The Philippine president, Emilio Aguinaldo, was captured in 1901, and the war was officially declared ended by the American government. Because, when you basically enslave a bunch of people, I mean, they weren't all made to be slaves, but we kidnapped their country. And then they rise up. You get to just declare the end of the quote unquote insurrection, whatever you want. This is over. This is done. Go home. So some Philippine groups, however, led by veterans of the Philippine Revolution, continued to fight for many more years. The war resulted in at least 200,000 Filipino civilian deaths. That's the thing is like, we talk about like, oh, the United States, had the, empirical control of certain areas that, we no longer control technically, but we got past that. People don't mention the number like of people that were killed in these things, just crazy numbers to put down uprisings by native people who were like, I don't think these white people should own our entire country.
Oh God. It's really like, because what this also shows, is so, we like to think that, it's just, there's so many first of all, there's all the myths of American accept. We came here and Thanksgiving was this wonderful party. We're like everyone got along. No, it wasn't. We stole the land. We committed genocide.
We helped the black people in Africa get farm jobs in America.
Yeah, yes, we provided jobs in the agricultural sector for people from Africa.
Yeah.
And then, there's all these. I mean, that's why the Smedley Butler, his book, obviously, but that speech that we were joking about, why it is important is because he talks about how the empire was starting in the late 1800s. I mean, it was really like after the Industrial Revolution, after the Civil War, we really were like, okay, let's go. Let's make some more money, and it didn't just start, post World War II or whatever. I mean, you really see it. And it's one of the things Hedges brings up in Death of the Liberal Class is even World War I. You and I have talked a little bit about World War I, how that was called Wall Street's War. Like, it's just the same old thing on and on. And then we go to countries like the Philippines and here's what, how effective the World War II is in terms of American exceptionalism and the propaganda. So World War II, because we helped the Philippines because they were being mistreated, I mean, severely by the Japanese were committing atrocities. It sort of wipes out this awful couple of years where we killed 200,000 Filipinos in the late 1800s. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, we saved them from the Japanese in World War II. And it's like,
yeah. Well, they say if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. But it seems even when we know our history, we are still doomed to repeat it.
Yes, we look at it as like a roadmap. Like, well, we've done this in the past. Let's do that again. We know this works.
Yeah. So the 200,000 died mostly due to famine and disease. Some estimates, though, of total civilian dead from this quote unquote insurrection reach up to 1 million. Atrocities and war crimes were committed during the conflict, including torture, mutilation, and executions. I love that they say by both sides. It's like, well, one side was native people trying to defend their land. The other side was an invading force. The guerrilla warfare tactics employed by the Filipinos propelled the U.S. to forcibly move many civilians to concentration camps. So this is I'm getting a lot of this from Wikipedia, and you and I talk about how they're slanted. This is like the U.S. view of things. Like, yeah, we sent them to concentration camps, but it was their not friendly guerrilla warfare tactics. Okay, we need a fair fight here, folks. You cannot jump out of the trees and things. You need to let us fight you face to face when we've got the largest guns and grenades and shit, and we're coming into your country. Just be polite about it, okay?
Well, that's such a thing too. We even hear this in Vietnam, even in the Middle East post 9/11 of like, why don't they just fight us face to face?
It's dirty. It's dirty fighting.
It's dirty fighting when we napalm villages and shit like that. And,
that's polite fighting.
That's polite fighting. We do very polite, gentlemanly fighting. And it's so ridiculous. Like, this is war. We do whatever we got to do to win wars. And when another side does whatever they got to do to win a war and they actually are effective, then we're like, whoa, hey,
not fair.
Like, you didn't see Tom Brady go, they kept blitzing me. That's why we lost. That was mean. Why don't they just let me sit in the pocket and throw the football all over the goddamn field? How come they're playing mean? They're dirty tricks they're playing. So it's
for those of you requiring a different sport analogy, why did Medvedev serve so well? Why didn't he let me hit my ground strokes? And we could have just done it that way and decided the match that way. Instead, his serve was very hard to hit back, and that's not really okay.
That's not fun. That's not fair. If you hit a serve I can't hit back, that's not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool, and it's boring. Yeah. So the war and subsequent occupation, and this is another factor of occupation and invasion and empire. The war and the occupation by the U.S. changed the culture of the islands, leading to a rise in Protestantism and disestablishment of the Catholic Church, which, why was the Catholic Church in the Philippines? Spain. So basically one empire's cultural, like, destruction and replacement was then replaced by another one. English was introduced to the island, became the primary language of government, education, business, and industry. In 1902, the U.S. Congress passed the Philippine Organic Act, which provided for the creation of the Philippine Assembly with members to be elected by Filipino males. This act was superseded in 1916 by the Jones Act, which contained the first formal and official declaration of the U.S. government's commitment to eventually grant independence to the Philippines. I mean, here's the thing, is like, yes, the U.S. was slowly moving towards freeing these people from our bondage, but that's how the U.S. does this shit, is like slowly over 50 years, we might give you your island its freedom back, as long as economically we can still basically control it.
And they just go in there, boom, do whatever they want. And then they always act like, boy, it's going to be a long process. The thing you created, the thing you were in complete control of, that's the thing you don't know how to create.
We're trying, like with Iraq, all right? We're trying to help them stand up on their own 2 feet. It's a long process. They're not very good at it because they're just not very sophisticated people. But we're doing our best to give them the freedom and democracy that they need after we destroy their entire country.
Yeah, we come in, we're the second empire to destroy their country and jam our bullshit down their throat. And we could just go, here's freedom, here's democracy, we'll leave you alone, here's money, but we just can't seem to figure it out. I just can't. It's a long, slow process. Like, I just love how everything the United States State Department has been doing for the last 150 years is always like Gilligan. Just like, bull, we couldn't figure it out. Oh, phooey, we tried this, but I don't know. Like, it's still 20 years in Afghanistan. It's the same bullshit. Like,
right. And we've talked about this before, but they claim, we didn't, it went wrong. But really, they're still getting what they wanted, right? They wanted to make Afghanistan a failed state, Iraq a failed state, like Libya. Like, yes, they maybe don't want it to be so failed that you end up in Libya with open slave markets and warlords killing everybody. But that's fine by us. It's like, it's better than a stable state that is in any way combative to us or competitive with us or Israel. And so a failed state is fine, even if it causes millions of deaths. The latest, including both indirect and direct deaths from the war on terror since 2001, 6 million people have died. 6 million. And we go, we thought we were helping Libya. Who knew this would happen? It just happens every time we bomb, but who knew?
I know. We just go in and set everything on fire and blow it up and then go, man, it's just, I don't know how we're going to fix this. Like, and ultimately, I'm sure these conversations have been had of like, well, Libya is a failed state. And if we ever have to roll some troops back in there, that's good business. You know what I mean? Like, let's hope it gets so failed that we have to commit more troops.
Yeah, if Libya were to stabilize under a strong leader, and that doesn't mean I want an autocratic, leader of any country, but if that were to happen and they were to be in any way threatening to us, then we got to go in. It's the only thing to help those people. It's just, we got to go back in.
Yeah, we got it. And it's always, we got to help the people. Like, we'll be back in Afghanistan because there's a humanitarian crisis there. And we'll act like,
well, yeah, we fucking created it. The sanctions on Afghanistan are now estimated to possibly kill more people than we killed while we were occupying forces. So it's like, we create this situation where people can't get by, they can't survive. I mean, people are dying right now in Afghanistan because of our economic war on them. And we go, well, they're just, it's because of the Taliban. They're not figuring it out.
The Taliban that wanted to surrender, that we wouldn't let them, and we dragged this war out for 20 years. Is that Taliban? The Taliban we just gave $80 billion of weapons we just left there for them to use. Is it that's the Taliban we're having the problems with? Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but these sanctions that will not hurt the ruling elite of that country at all, but will only hurt the poor. They're gonna turn things around. They're gonna turn, because sanctions just they who gets hurt the most from decreasing all like medicine and food and stuff that goes into that country. Well, it's the poor, it's the elderly, it's the babies, it's the infirmed. So yeah, if you just kill a bunch of those people, I'm sure everything will turn around.
It's literally like when the Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels to do security at Altamont. You know, like who knew that? And then the Hells Angels, they stab people. Like it's weird. We hired
I
a
thought they
criminal.
were just going to give out the gift bags to the people. I didn't know.
I mean, we were like, let's hire an outlaw biker gang that sells drugs and violence and sex trafficking and horrible shit.
But they
And
had
then,
angels in their name, so we thought,
yes,
good.
and we were cool. We hung out with them, and we thought this would be cool. And then they acted like a violent outlaw biker gang. I was like, who saw that coming?
The moment they started running things, they acted like the Hells Angels. Who knew they were going to do that?
It's like another story. Like, so Hugh Hefner's, one of his wives found, he had all these videos and stuff of naked women having sex with women. Hugh Hefner, the founder of Playboy, was sleeping around. Like, what? I mean,
what did that really happen? She was bothered.
She released that statement like she was bothered, like, oh my God, I found all these videos that girls have been sending sex he had with them, and they sent him sexy videos. Really?
He
Young,
told me
attractive
he
women.
was faithful.
What? This guy who's built a whole industry, $1 billion industry, on tagging as many as many hot girls as he possibly can. That's his whole thing. And then lo and behold, he was having sex with a lot of beautiful women his whole life. Like, I can't even.
It's wrong. It's like the Filipino insurrection. It's rude. It's not playing by the rules. It's not playing by the rules. All right. Does your promise ring mean nothing?
Oh, when I was your sixth wife, I thought maybe this time you were going to commit at age 87 or whatever, I thought.
When you proposed to me, when you and I were both elbow deep in that mail boy, I thought that you were serious about this. I didn't think. Listen, when I couldn't really hear you because you had your face in our maid, but I thought you were going to be serious about this.
I mean, Lee, you think when your eyes lock with someone in the middle of an orgy, you think like they're going to commit and there's going to be a monogamy while they're like mainlining Viagra into their 80-year-old dick. You'd think that they would be like, this is the one. I don't get it.
Listen, the ways of love are tough to figure out, tough to nail down. The love.
Let's turn this into a show for dating advice, Lee. I think it's time.
Graham and Lee do dating advice. Yes, absolutely.
The married guy and the guy that's terminally single just try to hash it out. Let's just figure it out.
So. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up this story. The United States eventually granted full Philippine independence in 1946 through the Treaty of Manila. But to this day, I'd say the U.S. has a little bit of influence over the Philippines.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's a whole nother government secret we could do about the Philippines in the 80s. I don't know.
Like, what, did something go on with the bananas or mangoes or whatever it is they grow there?
Wasn't there a whole Imelda Marcos scenario? Didn't know there was a bunch of shenanigans that went down over there. Was there like a shoe store problem or something? I forget the specific
shoe store problem. But yeah, I mean, if this were to be, just to wrap it up, if this were to be discussed in a legitimate way, this is an empire that is going to areas that it has no right to be there. Spain had no right to be there. The U.S. has no right to be there. It's just given to us by Spain in a treaty. And then we go in and just basically say, yeah, we fucking own this place. You're going to speak our language. You're going to give us all your resources. And then we're like, oh my goodness, it's so upsetting that these people are not okay with this. And so let's kill 1 million of them.
Yep.
So that's the proper way to discuss it. But instead you have how many decades of history books that are just like the Filipino insurrection when they got surly. Like it's a sad rewriting of history. But as the famous quote goes, the victors write the history, right?
Yes. All right. So next government secret segment. Bam, 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 bam. More.
Oh, bum 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 bum.
I paid a lot. I just got a new software that makes that a sound effect. It cost this show 14 grand, but we'll figure it out. Just,
the LiberaPay is going to cover that.
Let's go to liberapay.com/government secrets right now to pay for more sound effects software.
The $8 from there, and plus the $0 from YouTube. By the way, YouTube is also essentially demonetized, redacted tonight as of recently. So,
oh, congratulations! Oh my God, that's so amazing!
Thank you. Yes,
you guys, that's so great. We should have a demonetization party. So I want to talk about. So I just wanted to see. I just been lately. I've been on sort of just a military cover up, and similar to Operation Bingo.
You've been on a military. Oh, you've been looking for military. I thought you were part of a military cover up. Okay.
Well, maybe I am. It's really none of your business. Why don't you just move along?
I can't reveal sources and methods. I can't.
I cannot confirm or deny, Lee, any of the information that you have said, had it were to been said to me, should I have been given such knowledge.
Were the sentence you just said, had it been said, then I could not confirm or deny that it had been said, is what I'm saying to you, but I'm not saying it. I'm not. Do not record this in your mental Rolodex because it's not being said. If I were to say it, it was not said.
My favorite one of those is Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now when he meets the general of the CIA, and they said, "Did you not kill someone in the Funang province or whatever?" And he's like, "I have." He gives the most CIA double talky answer. "I have no knowledge of such things, General. And if I were to have given, I would not be disposed should those have occurred, even though they did not. I could not confirm.
I have no knowledge of such a thing, but if I did, I wouldn't." What?
Then they'll just kind of look around the room like, wow, this is our guy. He's just a double talking killer. Let's get him going. So, as I've done many times on this show, I've just done CIA operation, and then I pick a letter. So I started doing
grand laziness that somehow works out pretty well for the show. I feel like it finds its quality topics done out of laziness, but.
It's like I don't prepare for a comedy show and I riff with the audience, and that's where you find the gold, Lee. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're saying you're going to hone this material down and do the follow-up podcast in a few weeks on the same topics.
Sure. Should I have never committed to such a secondary podcast. Should a secondary podcast potentially exist, I could not confirm nor deny that said podcast is in fact. But if it wasn't, I could not say it. But if it did, in fact, exist.
If the amount of work necessary to do such a thing were to achieve it, then I would not be involved if it were to happen.
Should such and hypothetically speaking, secondary podcast intervene with said surfing time, then I could not confirm or deny that such a podcast could exist.
If you'd like to book that podcast, I cannot confirm or deny that I will be surfing during it.
I cannot assist nor help, but I could confirm that assistance and help could possibly be put to use by a third party, should such a third party exist, which I cannot confirm that party exists. So what I've started doing in my rigorous research, getting ready for this show, which usually takes a full week, I usually take one day off, and then it's 6 days of nonstop research for the show.
Nonstop. writing notes, double checking them, calling sources. The amount of time Graham spends on the phone just calling sources at Wikipedia is like tremendous. The phone bills themselves are through the roof.
Right, because I'm using old school long distance phone calling. That's what I'm doing. I'm just like, Carlisle 53000, connect me to Wikipedia.
With the two-piece phone one. Hello, is this Wikipedia? Can you confirm that?
Hello, Wikipedia on all the ships at sea. Graham Elwood here, calling to confirm a source. So in my extensive research, I have said, I just decided to put in U.S. Army. Last week, I think I did U.S. Navy cover up, and today I did U.S. Army cover up.
Oh, please tell me there were again awesome pajamas available.
Yes, who knew you can get military, you can get Coast Guard pajamas, Lee, you can get whatever you want, like aim high pajamas, go get them. They're there for you. So
I feel like if you're an adult male wearing footy pajamas that say Army of One, it's confusing for everyone involved.
Well, Lee, should such footy pajamas be in actual existence, I cannot confirm that they have been worn. Should they have been worn by me?
I cannot confirm or deny that I have the bottoms on right now.
Should this camera pull out to a wider shot, I cannot verify that these are footy pajamas were actually worn by me. And in fact, I slipped and fell and they jumped on my leg. Meaning
the t-shirt with the shoulder pocket is actually your business attire put on for the camera. If we pull out further, it's just straight up footy pajamas.
I am in footy pajamas probably 23 out of 24 hours a day. The 1 hour that I'm surfing, then I take off the footy pajamas because they don't do well in seawater. No, anyway, so I typed up and I found and I saw this U.S. Army and Lucky Dragon number 5. And I'm like, what does this mean? They actually made it into a movie. The Lucky Dragon number 5 was a Japanese tuna fishing boat with a crew of 23 men, which was contaminated by nuclear fallout from the United States Castle Bravo thermonuclear weapon test at Bikini Atoll, March 1st, 1954. We were doing a hydrogen bomb in we've talked about some other of these. We've talked about the Bikini Islands and the testing. We've discussed this before, but this is a specific one we went into.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to this, and there's a website that just says, and I just found 4 horrific incidents the military tried to cover up from cracked.com. And then I verified it on Wikipedia when I made the old school phone call. But
you decided cracked.com was not enough of a verification for this story.
Yeah, Lee, I decided to really dig deep today.
I'm ashamed of you for impugning Crack's honor.
I'm sorry I've brought shame upon this show. I'm sorry that I impugned the honor of cracked.com.
Cracked.com is never going to be the same after this.
No,
their public stock has just dropped 30% because of the insult said on Government Secrets podcast.
Yes. So there was some hyperlinks that I clicked. I did actually a lot of research on this. So the Hiroshima bomb had a 15 kiloton yield, while the Castle Bravo was 15 megatons. And you don't need to know much about metric systems.
Just listen to the words and you know that it's bad.
Killa and mega. You just know mega is going to pack a little more of a bump on it. So according to the Army's calculations, Castle Bravo was going to be just 6 megatons, and all their preparations around dropping onto the Bikini Atoll were based on that estimate. The actual explosion was larger than anyone had thought possible. Once again, another fine example, the United States military just willy-nilly, let's just throw a nuke on the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
Really great when we're literally playing with like hellfire. Like Thanos took more care into wiping out half of the galaxy than these assholes. Like,
well, and furthermore, to this day, we continue to go, we are very concerned that Iran might get a nuclear bomb, or, fill in the blank country might get a nuclear bomb, and we know they can't handle it. Motherfuckers, you've been blowing people up for decades.
It's literally, I think it's the Hells Angels going, I don't know if that other biker gang can handle doing security, because we have a pretty stellar track record of being on PCP and knifing out people at a Rolling Stones concert.
This is like Son of Sam being concerned someone might get a gun. Like, other people just can't handle it the way I can.
I know. It's funny, like, well, if Iran gets a nuke, that'd be dangerous. Yeah, I know. Who's committed the most like accidents and blown people up? Oh, United States. Here we go.
Accidents, and the only one to actively, intentionally use nuclear weapons, despite the fact we did a whole episode on how we did not need to use nuclear weapons. The war was over.
Yeah.
It was honestly just a combination of let's see what happens. Let's see how many people we kill with let's show Russia, the Soviet Union at the time, that we're willing to do this.
Yeah. We talked about that on this episode, how the Japanese were wanting to surrender. The war was over for them and they were done. They were beaten. Their people were starving and they wanted to surrender. We said, nope, we're going to use you for some bomb testing.
Yeah.
The fallout was on a Japanese fishing boat that was called the Lucky Dragon 5, as I said. Lucky Dragon 5 had been outside the
less lucky than they initially thought.
Not as lucky, more like a lucky number 3.
Yeah.
They were outside the predicted zone when they thought, oh, this will just be 6 megatons, when it ended up being 15 megatons. I mean, look,
that's off by a lot.
Look, Lee, what's the difference between 6 and 15 megatons? I mean, it's only 9. It's only a 9 megaton difference. Like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? I don't get what everybody's, it's like you're landing a plane and you think you're, 10,000 feet off the deck when actually you're only 1,000 feet off the deck. Like, what's the problem? It's only 9,000 feet.
Yeah, that's like you think you're about to land on ground level, and instead you just plow into a mountain.
Yeah,
it's being phenomenally off in your calculations.
Phenomenal, like really off, like seriously off. It was outside the predicted danger zone, but the ship was showered with radioactive pulverized coral. That's how big this blast was. So it blew up the ocean. There was radioactive coral that got thrown for miles and
so
landed on a fishing
the water boat. Was like incinerated.
Yeah.
So you basically just have the physical detritus that's blown out with the bomb.
Yes. And God, I'm going to pretend I know what the word detritus means and just keep moving on.
Shit. It means shit. You have all the physical shit that's not liquid.
You got to throw out your blue blood buddies with Washington $10 word, Lee. You know what I mean? I only got one pocket here. I can't afford 2 pockets for detritus. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. I should have said shit.
Those are the only 2 options.
That's it.
Shit and detritus.
Yeah.
Like debris. You just said a $20 word for debris.
Exactly.
All right.
I didn't mean to offend you.
Jesus Christ. Lee, if the whole point of this show is you to just make me feel stupid, then I just, I don't know if we're going to keep. I mean, I already have this second podcast in the works that I've been doing bonus clips on. Okay. Detritus is the name of my next album. By the time the fishing boat made it back to Japan, all 23 men were vomiting.
Oh, God, it's a bad sign.
Man, you got a fancy word for vomit, Lee? You want to throw around everybody? Everyone know you went to private school?
Pukification. A lot of pukification coming out of the orifices on the facial object.
So basically, this Castle Bravo and this radioactive coral was like an epicac. Huh? There's a fancy word.
I don't think you used that right.
No, it is. An epicac forces you to vomit.
Oh, you're talking about. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you fucking correct me. What a fucking.
I thought you. I thought you were looking for a word for clusterfuck, and you used epicac. Like, oh man, dude, I was in a car accident. It was an epicac. It was just awful. But now I get what you were saying. You were saying it caused vomiting.
Yes,
got it.
The radioactive coral caused vomiting. I used epicac incorrectly in a sentence, Lee. Like, this episode for the listeners might be an epicac.
We've been known to induce vomiting on this show.
Episode 71, the epicac of episodes.
I've actually heard from people, very thankful fans, audience members who were like choking during a dinner and they had to run in and turn on government secrets. just to clear everything up.
Folks, if you accidentally ingested a poisonous material, listen to this episode right now. Go to the 52-minute mark, and this is where you will. Oh, my God.
So, do they have... I almost don't even want to ask this question. Do they have information on how many of these guys lived? Or did they live?
They all lived except one guy. Unfortunately, one man died, and his name was
Lucky Dragon Jim.
Johnny Epicac is what his name was. No, Kichi Kobayama was the only one that he was the radio man, and he died from complications. They made a film, and they took to calling it a second Hiroshima. The Japanese took to calling it a second Hiroshima. But there were also, there was another unexpected fallout. Great U.S. military. And we know this. The U.S. military always looks after its own servicemen, right?
The theme of U.S. military is unexpected fallout.
That should just be above every boot camp hall. Just
like, look, we saw the mission accomplished banner. They got the money. All right, we need banners that say unexpected fallout.
So, the U.S. dodged all accusations and claimed the fishermen were spies before finally giving them some money. Right, so that's so great.
Yeah, you know how it is. They send spies out on Lucky Dragon, rusty fishing boats out to the middle of a nuclear test site, just to check things out. That always goes well.
Yeah. And the military, at least they don't do this anymore. It's not like they've contaminated the water at Red Hill here on the island of Oahu. They said they were going to clean it up. And last week, the fucking Navy just said, no, they're resisting the demands of the local government.
Oh, because that was a big story that the government passed that they had to clean it up, right?
Yeah. The government said, you got to clean this up. And then they said, no, now they're resisting it. And they just had some panel full of bullshit generals and colonels double talking their way. It's just they're still doing it to this day, right here. Oh, gee, on another island.
Yeah.
They just can't help themselves from fucking everything up. So their own servicemen became sick, and then I want to show everybody this. That was in the New York Times in 1982. 4 veterans suing U.S. over exposure in 1954 atom test. So this was like this is the actual article right here.
Atom test is the sweetest way to say nuclear explosion.
Yes, I know.
Atom test is such a nice way.
It doesn't say we turned the coral into radioactive material. Like it doesn't say that, and we killed a Japanese guy and 23 other guys were vomiting. And now we've even hurt our own servicemen.
The New York Times somehow managed to keep the word bomb out of that headline.
Yes, in 1982, they had to do it. Like it's even then they were protecting the U.S. military. Yeah. Like even then they were protecting the U.S. military. So and then that I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the so that just to get specific, this is back to Wikipedia. The ash that fell upon the ship carried strontium-90, cesium-137, selenium-141, and uranium-237.
And are any of those helpful with digestion, or they're all ipecac?
No, they're like flaxseed. You know what I mean? They're really good.
No, you put them in your shake, right?
Yeah, you put them in your shake. A little flaxseed or chia seeds are like chia seeds. They're really good. They're like protein and digestion. You know, basically what came from the sky was basically just like flaxseed and kombucha is basically what hit the ship.
Yeah. You kind of like you collect snowflakes on your tongue. You could just do that, and it would make you stronger. Yeah. It was like Popeye eating the spinach. They just stuck their tongue out, and then the biceps bulged.
So since we're kind of running a little short on time, I will say the one upside of this event, this inspired the first ever Godzilla movie.
Seriously?
Yep.
that is a distant upside, yes.
But it's such a great franchise of movies, Lee.
It's kind of like, climate change inspired The Day After Tomorrow. Not a bad flick. Not a bad flick.
Yeah. So this is Toho Studios because a movie was made called Lucky Dragon 5, and then they decided to make Godzilla because that's
And what chaotic night for the writer inspired Mothra? What just big ass moth flew into his window and he was like, ah, fuck.
He'd probably like just taken LSD and was like, ah! And saw this giant moth, and he was like, oh. Yeah, but it's all, I mean, that's the thing. The majority of the ones coming out of Japan especially, but the majority of the Godzilla movies are rooted in like cautionary tales of atomic blasts. And
yeah.
I mean, they very much are that. So that's
and then the more recent ones, the US created Godzilla. It was just like a pro-US war movie.
Yeah, it was just like,
I think I watched like a quarter of one of them on a plane, which is the only place I'll watch the stupidest of all movies.
Right.
And I got like a quarter of the way. I was like, I can't fucking handle this anymore. Godzilla was swimming, I think, at one point. But it was like, it was a war U.S. military propaganda film.
Yeah. So they just, once again, the U.S. military just hijacked some cool property with a good message, and then made it about how isn't war great.
Can you imagine them? They like redo Apocalypse Now, and it's like a pro U.S. military like movie.
It's just like John Wayne's Green Berets, his Vietnam movie that he made, which was just like the most propaganda film ever.
At the end, Marlon Brando saves the natives or something.
He's getting a medal. He's like saluting the president. Like,
Yeah.
oh, and he stands over the graves of fallen soldiers, like the horror, and he salutes it, and then tap starts playing, and an American flag waves in the background. Yeah, that's it.
All right, we'll go on to story number 3, but I'll keep it relatively short.
This week at Government Secrets, bonus.
Wow, you did get new sounds.
Right?
That's amazing.
Well, you were buying $10 words to say shit. I was buying software for the show, Lee.
Oh, you haven't signed up for $10words.com? It's not bad.
I even forgot the word. What did you say? Detrice? What was it called?
Detritus.
Okay. Detritus.
I love how all I got to do is hit 3 syllables and Graham's baffled. It wasn't like I said anti-disestablishmentarianism or something.
Well, that I want to understand. Detritus. How many times? And let me ask people in the chat, how many times in a day or week are we hearing the word detritus? Okay. Like, save it for Scrabble, and then let's move forward.
This is this week in government secrets. In 1992, the chief judicial magistrate of Bhopal Court declared Warren Anderson, ex-CEO of Union Carbide, a fugitive under Indian law for failing to appear in the Bhopal disaster case. Now, the Bhopal disaster was a gas leak incident in December 1984 at the Union Carbide Indian Limited Company pesticide plant in Bhopal, India. And, you know, half of the reason that these companies are there to begin with in India and other countries is to do it in countries with less regulation. So they go there and they just, you know, do things that are ridiculously dangerous and pollute the environment, pollute the air. I mean, there's some of that obviously going on in the U.S. as well, but they love nothing more than to go to a country where there's like zero regulation, where they don't even have to worry about what little regulation the U.S. has. Mm-hmm. It is considered one of the world's worst industrial disasters. Over 500,000 people were exposed to methyl isocyanate. There you go, Graham. Add that to your word list. The highly toxic and let me tell you, I've known that word for years. I use it all the time. I use it all the time. I used methyl isocyanate just yesterday.
Well, you have that hilarious methyl isocyanate bit that you do in your act that you usually close on.
3 of the tracks on my comedy album are all titled methyl isocyanate. The highly toxic substance made its way into and around the small towns located near the plant. Estimates vary on the death toll. The official immediate death toll was 2,259. That's the immediate death toll. That's people dropping dead that day.
How many? Say that number again.
2,259.
From the first day of the of the leak.
Yeah, but then people continued to be sick for, you know, years. 3,000. Let's see. The government there paid compensation to the family members of 3,787 victims killed in the gas release. All right, so now we're getting to 3,787 in terms of number killed, and then to 574,366 injured victims. A government affidavit in 2006 stated that the leak caused 558,000 injuries, including 38,000 temporary partial injuries and 3,900 permanently disabled. Others estimate that 8,000 died within 2 weeks, and another 8,000 or more have since died from gas release that day. The cause of the disaster remains under debate. The Indian government and local activists argue that slack management and deferred maintenance created a situation where routine pipe maintenance caused a backflow of water into the MIC tank, triggering the disaster. Union Carbide argued that water entered the tank through an act of sabotage. Yeah, right.
Oh God. Oh God. I mean, this is just this. Oh man, are they going to blame the activists for being Japanese spies like they did the fishing boat on Lucky Dragon 5? Like, come on. Oh,
Yep.
it's always sabotage. Okay, great. Yeah, it's not that
Yep.
you're neglect because they're so smart.
Someone who really hated this plant and knew exactly how to put water in the tank to cause a massive leak. That's absolutely what happened. The owner of the factory was majority owned by UCIL was majority owned by Union Carbide. In 1989, Union Carbide paid $470 million to settle litigation stemming from the disaster. Now, I'm sure some people are like, "Oh, okay, well at least they paid," but that number, 470 million, does pales in comparison of the lives that, even if you could put an amount of money on fucking life, which you shouldn't be able to, that it's nowhere near enough to take care of hundreds of thousands of people injured. Obviously, it's not going to bring back the dead, but it's yes, 470 million sounds like a lot to you and me. It did very little overall to take care of all the victims. In 1994, Union Carbide sold its stake to Eveready Industries. Eveready ended cleanup of the site in 1998, and Dow Chemical purchased Union Carbide. So Dow Chemical is on the hook for this shit. And
I would think problem solved, right? Dow's on board now. We're going to get this fixed up pretty quick, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. I've always heard the Dow Chemical, they deal with their victims very well. They always make everything right.
Lee, Dow Chemical has proven over time to be basically, when it comes to cleaning up spills, they handle it with the efficient. They're the Hell's Angels of chemical spill cleanup.
Yes, absolutely. They always stab their victims. So Dow Chemical. Let's see. Oh, so this is when that guy Warren Anderson comes into it. Civil and criminal cases filed in the U.S. against Union Carbide and Warren Anderson, the Union Carbide CEO at the time of the disaster, were dismissed. Oh, the U.S. didn't see a problem there. Oh. Because here's the thing: is it's about precedent, and it's not just that they don't want to hold a fucking ruling elite like Warren Anderson accountable. It's that once you say, "Hey, you guys are accountable and could be put in prison for the shit you do in other countries with U.S. corporations," all of a sudden that opens a big Pandora's box of all the shit the U.S. does around the world, what our companies are doing in these places. Fuck the nuclear blast you just talked about. It just opens a massive box of all of a sudden you're accountable for all the death and destruction you reap upon the world.
Yeah, we can't have that. We can't actually make the world a better place. We literally need to burn it to the ground, which is what's going to happen. Like that, all these chemical companies. I mean, the environment is collapsing, and it's all because of this shit and because of governments like America that are bought and paid for and will not. If these people were held accountable, even if we would have just started holding them accountable back in the 90s when this happened, not even as far back as the 60s or 50s or whatever, even if we said in the 90s, we're going to hold them accountable. When Bill Clinton said he was going to do that as president because the Democrats are so much better. Like, imagine what our world would look like.
Yeah. For example, the Monsanto, the number of farmers in India who've killed themselves because of Monsanto is like immense. I don't remember that. It was like thousands a year or something, because I mean, you're talking, India's got a crazy number of people. So you're talking millions and millions of farmers, and Monsanto basically went throughout India, convinced these farmers to use these patented seeds because they're water resistant and they do better and more output and everything. What they didn't tell them or didn't explain well or whatever is that these seeds can't be replanted. You can't just, most crops, the way crops work is the farmers take the seeds from the last bunch and replant them to create their next year's crop. And these are designed to die out or be seedless or whatever. So all these farmers didn't have the money to basically keep buying these seeds. So they're left just destitute. And many of them killed themselves because they'd rather they felt like they're bringing dishonor on their family's starving, and it's just so if Monsanto was on the hook for all of that, I mean.
You know, if there's any Navy SEALs watching this show, active duty Navy SEALs, I don't know that there are, but let's just say there are some active duty Navy SEALs. Why don't you go do the right thing? Take out some Monsanto people. You know what I mean? Like get the real evil people. Get them, do your jobs.
All right,
You really
Graham,
will save lives.
we've gotten to the part of the show where you're now allowed to say evil cunts.
They're evil cunts.
There
Okay, it's time. All right, they're detritus or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like
up top was it was a bit too much for the first 30 seconds. It was a dirty hello is what it was.
A dirty hello. Dirty hello. I'd like to report a crime.
In June 2010, 7 Indian nationals who were UCIL employees in 1984, including the former UCIL chairman, were convicted in Bhopal of causing death by negligence and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment and a fine of $2,000, the maximum punishment allowed by Indian law for, I guess, corporate negligence. All were released on bail shortly after the verdict. Oh, tough sentence. An 8th former employee was also convicted but died before judgment was passed. But one little update that's not in here is that my old I used to be friendly with them. I mean, I used to know them in New York. The Yes Men did one of their best known pranks was they got one of the mainstream media, I can't remember if it's Fox News or what, to believe that they were a Dow Chemical representative. And they went on during an interview and said they were finally, this is in like 2012 or 2011 or something, said they were finally going to pay hundreds of millions more dollars to make right the Bhopal chemical spill. And immediately afterwards, Dow's stock dropped by billions of dollars because people thought, and that actually tells you a lot about Wall Street, a lot about the market economy, how it works, because basically everyone was like, oh, dear God, Dow Chemical is going to do the right thing and take care of their victims. And their stock went down because no one wants to be a part of a company that does that, because that's not profit-based. That's morally based, which is nothing. Morality has nothing to do with Wall Street.
I hope these people shorted that stock and cleaned up.
Yeah, I don't know, but the stock obviously went back once they found out. Oh, thank God, Dow, and that's the best part of these pranks when yes men do this type of thing is that Dow Chemical then had to put out a statement saying, no, we're not going to do anything about the Bhopal chemical spill. Have no fear.
Yeah. We at Gov't, our core values are that we are soulless maggots that do not give a shit, and we would never spend this money. And you can put that, take that to the bank and buy more stock in our fucking poison.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wear a soulless maggot T-shirt to work every day under my button down to go and send money to the victims of our chemical spills. That is not part of the plan.
No, sir.
So there you have it. 2 or 3 this week in government secrets.
That's the most this week in government secrets we've ever done, Lee Camp. That was fantastic. That's a fantastic bonus super deluxe episode of Government Secrets. Episode 71. Your favorite audio epicac.
This has been the episode with the least detritus of all government secrets.
Least detritus. Folks, we're going to be selling Government Secrets detritus merch.
Which would basically be like, your toenail clippings or anything you got laying around.
Well, I have a whole bin of radioactive coral reef that I just throw at fishing boats whenever they go by. It's pretty fun.
There you go.
Well, folks, support what we do. If you're listening, wherever you're listening or watching this, hit the like button. Subscribe, whatever, share this out. We're trying to grow the show as best we can, and then support what we do at liberapay.com/government secrets. Even $1 a week, $1 a month helps. If everybody did that, we would really be able to do some cool stuff. And hopefully as things open up, maybe in the spring or summer, we'll do some live government secrets on the East Coast.
That's the hope, man. We did one in LA and it was a lot of fun. Who knows? Real quick, my stuff is at radindymedia.com and leecamp.com, and there's a new episode of Redacted tonight airing like right now or something. I'm never quite clear on when it goes up, but it'll be up at portable.tv very soon if it's not already there. And yeah, check out the newest episode of Redacted tonight, where I go over the 6 million people killed by our war on terror since 2001 and the 260, I think it is, $260 million a day the U.S. spends on prisons and police.
Oh my God. Wow. I'm so glad we don't spend that on the homeless or schools.
No.
Why would you want to do that?
I mean, in a roundabout way, we spend it on the homeless because we give it to the police to poke the homeless with a stick.
Yeah.
And say, move along.
Yes.
The U.S. motto of our country is actually move along.
Move along.
Move along.
Keep it moving, folks. But we don't have homes. Stop your belly aching. Let's go. I don't make the rules. But you don't have to enforce the bad ones. Yes, I do. Sorry. So yeah, folks, if you're listening, please go to GrahamElwood.com. I have a newsletter you can sign up for, and you can watch my show, Political Vigilante, on YouTube. And of course, subscribe to Rockfin.com. And if you do the premium, you can get my premium content, Lee's, everybody else's premium content. So go to Rockfin.com. But then that's our show. So right on.
Keep fighting.
Keep fighting, everybody. Don't be detritus. Okay.
See you later, Matt.
All right, buddy. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.